Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk to you about scientific reliability and why that's important both for this case and winning in the environmental battle, but also for any other case we would ever want to do ever again. But first, let's see what we've just heard. Yes, I said the word ever 3 times in one sentence. First of all, we said, look, we all agree that we need to do something, so it doesn't really matter if we exaggerate. We remind them of the fact that they're exaggerating, whether it's man-made, and so we don't always agree what we're actually going to do. Omer has already told you about the fact that sometimes we need to adapt and not to prevent. That was one of the main issues that were raised after the Pakistani floods, because no one worried about how to adapt to these changes, how to save people when these changes happen, and if by any chance, even if it is low, they are wrong, they are sentencing many, many people to death because of environmental issues. We think that's a problem. Secondly, they said, look, there are so many important things. How do you decide? You can't do this. If there are 45,000 people dying every month in Congo because of war, and there are, let's say, 200 people dying a month for, let's say, terror attacks, then we can prioritize them. Why? Because one is more important than the other. No, thank you. How do I know that 45,000 people die every month in Congo? Because we have facts. When we have the facts, we can prioritize and save more lives. If we just say, look, we can't prioritize, both are important, anyone can exaggerate whatever they want because it's really, really important, then we will make the wrong decisions. And let's just take something that is not environmentalism. Let's say, for example, that the government now thinks that terrorism is really important, and they exaggerate how many people die in terrorist attacks, and then they increase their defense, the money that goes to defense instead of environmentalism, and then we'll have that damage. Environmentalism is in no way different from any one of those things. Once we have the facts, we can make rational decisions, no thank you, and once we don't, we can't. Then they gave us the whole point about how they don't trust people. And we don't think that's relevant. If you want your professionals to make those decisions, that's fine. But if you're lying about the facts, neither the average citizen, who we do trust, by the way, but they apparently don't, nor the professional can make any real decisions. And so we're not letting anyone, not your government, not your professionals, and not your average voting citizens, anyone can't make the right decision. No, thank you. And then lastly, they said, look, if we don't exaggerate, we can't make actual decisions. So first of all, we don't recognize that the fact that no one is actually doing anything means that they're wrong. We think that the fact that people are giving money to aid and not giving money to, or enough money for environmental causes means that they care about it more. Or the fact that an economic crisis is something that people care about more. But secondly, everything the government just told us sounds very scary. Now, unless they already started implementing their system and were lying about the facts, we think that if you, like they partially said, like if you just tell these people that if it's important enough, no thank you, and if it's more dangerous, then it will be effective enough, because we assume that our governments have some kind of idea of what is important and what isn't. If not, we have no reason to believe that their environmental claims are important if we don't trust them. And lastly, what I will show you my points, no thank you, is that if we reduce the reliability of those facts, we will actually harm our own cause. Let's start talking about scientific reliability. The problem with the government is that they are fighting the wrong battles. We've heard from closing opposition that they said there are a lot of people that until they hear their 90%, that 90% number, they won't believe you. The problem is that we already have that 90% number. The American Meteorology Society said that with 90% probability there will be between 3.5 to 7.4 degrees of a rise in degrees in the next 100 years. They said it, no thank you, this year. The Durban Summit that happened just last week concluded that we can reduce 2 degrees in the next 50 years if we do this climate change. Science is for us. They think it's pretty damn important, no thank you, and we can do something about it. The battle we're fighting is whether people listen to that science or not. Because when they talk about corporational influence, and they said we're going to fight it with videos and statistics, I can bet my ass that doesn't make sense, sorry. I can damn well bet that they are better at showing their own statistics, no thank you, and they are better at creating videos. What we have on our side is the truth, and let's talk about why that is important. We have 2 problems in society. One is that people don't trust science in general, and the second is that they don't trust climate science specifically. How does this harm their ability to rely on science? Well, first of all, there is, like we assume, a small chance, even if it is, I'll take you in a minute, a small chance that they will get caught. Now they say, but it is a small chance. Yes, but you only need 1 in every 100 scientists to be caught, because everyone else knows that there is a small chance they will be caught, and so every other scientific activity will be suspect. We still remember the chart in which they resized the chart to fit the climate claims that they were trying to make. I assume that most people in the audience do remember when that happened several years ago. And so we remember that and are suspect of anything that anyone does. But what I'm going to show you now is that they don't even have to be caught for it to harm the reliability of science. But first, closing.
You say that these people don't really believe in science, but everybody that's against climate change keeps bringing their own fake statistics to say that climate change is apparently not happening. Don't you think they have these 90%, we need more because they aren't making it on these facts?
Okay. If we have fake studies showing that there is no problem with climate change, and real non-fake studies showing that they are, we think the real one would win. That's how every scientific inquiry works, because we scrutinize it and we find the faults, no thank you, and we see that the faults are only on one side, therefore the other side wins. If we have fake statistics on both sides, thank you, then you get a dirty political game. Back to my point. Now, they said, okay, so why, even if you don't get caught, you're making problems? 2 reasons. One is that scientific experiments tend to agree, right? If you do something that is right, if you're not lying about these things, different scientific experiments created by different people will create the same results. Once you have people lying, you don't need to know who's lying to be able to see that they are inconsistent, to see that someone exaggerated this much and another person exaggerated that much. The second, more important one, is short-term predictions. If you say that in the next 10 years there will be a 10-degree rise in climate change, what do you think will happen after 10 years pass and nothing happened? How many funds do you think will actually go to climate change from 10 years from now to 1,000 years from now? Not very much. But we won't only lose this battle, we will lose all next battles. Because when people fought against the church, and when people fought against, a consensus, they always used scientific method. Had they lied then, we would not be able to use it today. The same authority that they are using to try to utilize their method is the one they are destroying in any other battle we're going to do. Because you are destroying our only way to be able to advance humanity, we beg you to oppose.